Hi, welcome. So this is a reading for Monday, January 6th, 2025. Oh, a little crazy with the floofing. So what we have been wanting to call Monday is Monday motivation because hi, welcome. Oh, no. So hold on. Something on my computer just happened. Hopefully that didn't affect anything. It was like, so it's like, what can motivate us to the start of a good week? We just did the week ahead reading. There's a lot of good stuff happening. There's some shadow stuff to look at. Nothing too heavy. And so Monday, maybe this will be a different start to the week. In the week ahead, we had some energy about like charging forward with a plan of action, but then it was warning us, or not really warning us, just like cautioning us to don't get too far ahead of your horse. So I don't know if that's what's going to come through again and go deeper in that, or if it's going to be totally different. So what I'd like to do is find out. I don't think we'll do an extended today. I was just having, in the last reading for the week, I was like really feeling into Tuesday going real deep. So I have a feeling we'll have a long base and a long extended. We'll find out. It also depends on how much time I have. I'm sorry. I'm not trying to take charge. So anyway, for Monday motivation, let's just try to understand like what's inspiring us. What can we do with that energy? And like, I feel like it's going to be something inspiring. I don't know how else to say it. Monday motivation. Let's find out. I don't know until the cards come. I do sort of feel the energy of it as we begin, but then you never know where it's going to go. So anyway, Monday motivation. Thank you. Okay, death, motivation. I'm inspired already. Like what? This kind of makes it fun because we really don't know where it's going. And death meaning like change, transformation, putting something to rest so that something new can come in its place. I think of it like new moon energy. That's the positive spin. Anyway, yeah, I'm still not feeling a heaviness, but we'll find out. King of Wands. Holy crap. That is like, if you just took these two together, that's like, yeah, something's dying because we've got all of this passion for manifesting something new in its place. It's like fire and fire. It's all passion. I don't feel anything else about that yet, like in the reverse. We'll see. Ooh, 10 of Wands. It's like and we have the power to go to the finish line with it. We have the determination. This is all fire and passion. Talk about inspiration. And then the King of Swords. Oh my God, another king? This is all power energy. And this is like inspired thought, acting from a place of logic. It's not just passion, it's balanced with logic. What do you got going on? Holy cow, let's do an overall. Well, that's interesting. The 5 of Swords. Interesting. What are we laying to rest? This is like, what are we putting an end to? I need to clarify this. I'm liking it. Like there's a lot of power and inspired energy here. But with the overall being this, 5 of Swords, it's like the main energy of the week is this. We're starting off like, this is to come if we address this. And it's all inspired. I believe it. It's motivating, that's for sure. Oh, I got some chillsies. I didn't even do these for the week ahead. Like when something totally escapes my mind, even how much I love these, and yet I still didn't pull them. These weren't meant for the week ahead. And that's true, because the week ahead was like, it wasn't super deep, heavy energy. It was, yeah, we have some stuff to look at, but it's a good week. It's like good as in like, let's like see the sun all the way through, you know, versus like go all the way into the deep back, the way back machine. This, however, was calling to me, and that like when the death was the first card of like putting some like closure, that's the word, closure. What do we need closure on? That's the overall, because it's like, yeah, we're like, this is right afterwards, this like fiery momentum pushing through to the end. We have the power, determination, we have the grit, we have inspiration and logic. Oh, we've got all those powerful energies right at the heels of bringing closure to something. What is that? What are we motivated to bring closure to? Yeah, that's what I'm curious about. Like, what what is this energy? Give us some context here, please, and thank you. It's like something is like not quite there. I know this might seem weird to you, but that's how it goes for me. Agape. Well, that's interesting. That means love. Agape. LXXII. Whoa. I just turned right to it. Like, no joke. That's like, you're meant to have this. Devotion, unconditional love. What if instead of putting yourself at the center of your spiritual practice, you put God, goddess, or nature at the center? How would this change your approach? Such is the energy of agape. It is alive when we are in awe and wonder, our breath taken away by the sacred force that surrounds us and asks for nothing in return. This card can indicate a spiritual initiation that stretches your capacity to love and serve. You sense the earthly as the heavenly and vice versa. Such an initiatory moment can appear in any form, and, like a healing balm to the modern soul, its effects last a lifetime. The Agape card may also suggest you reassess what you worship every day, consciously or unconsciously. What are you elevating? Where does the sacred ladder you climb ultimately lead to? When light, service, reverence, honor, joy. When dark, spiritual bypassing, righteousness. Oh, is that what we're bringing some closure to? Is it calling us to stop the spiritual bypassing? That's a whole loaded thing too. That's like all the rage these days, like in the spiritual community, just constantly like cautioning people to, are you spiritual bypassing? It's like, and that's such a tricky energy. It's such a slippery slope. Like whatever those fallacies are, you know, like spiritual bypassing is sometimes hard to recognize. That's what I mean by tricky, slippery. Sometimes it's really hard. Agape can also be felt as an overwhelming love of family, partner, community. Recognize it by a deep swell of gratitude. Ooh, isn't that an antidote for spiritual bypassing? Sure is. The Greek word agape informs the English word agape. That's the same word. To have the mouth agape. Oh, agape. I get it now. Let me reread that. The Greek word agape informs the English word agape. To have the mouth agape is to be awestruck by something of breathtaking delight. We are made humble once again. Yeah, that spirit, that is the antidote. Gratitude and humility is the antidote to spiritual bypassing. We got to put an end to that because there's so much inspired energy right after it. meaning passion from the heart, like to like follow your passions, like to manifest them. But with the King of Swords, is like there's that inspired, like it's kind of like a wisdom energy. Like sometimes I'm like thinking it's just all head, my way is the right way. This doesn't feel like that right now. This feels like what you're going to, it's like feels like a more balanced, like air and fire. We don't, except for this, we don't really have a lot of water energy here to keep us in the heart space, because spiritual bypassing isn't always heart, is it? It really is like passionate, that passionate energy that comes out, and in the mind, like thinking about spirituality and maybe the image of spirituality. Wow, that's interesting. That the Agape card may also suggest you reassess what you worship every day, consciously or unconsciously. What are you elevating? What are you elevating? Where does the sacred ladder you climb ultimately lead to? That's the reflection. Ooh-wee. I thought, Monday motivation, we'll get some little like inspiring nuggets, and this is like, this is interesting. Here's a fun thing. Here is a fun little thing we can do. Because of the slippery nature of spiritual bypass, and that's really bright. I want to go to ChatGPT. Sometimes that's fun, isn't it? Yes, it is. Oh, how do I log in? I'm on a new computer. Sorry for the delay, folks. Are we there? Yes, we're there. Okay. Okay. What I said is explain spiritual bypassing. You know, sometimes ChatGPT is like Alexa, and she's just like, here's like all the information and then more than you ever wanted to know. So anyway, what I wanted to like pull in is like a nugget about what it is. It says like why it's harmful and how to avoid it. You can do your own ChatGPT, but it's like it was a term coined in the 80s to describe the tendency to use spiritual practices or beliefs to avoid confronting unresolved emotional issues, psychological wounds, or difficult life challenges. Basically, it's like embracing the positive aspects of spirituality, meaning like the feel-goodness of it, and not addressing the shadow. So I guess we are doing a little shadow work today, aren't we? And maybe it's just the beginning. I have a feeling Tuesday is going to be all shadow. And maybe this is like hey, maybe reflect on your spirit. What are you elevating? Is it growth through like addressing the unseen, what you've been afraid to look at, which is hard and scary. I know, that's what Tuesday's for. And it's like spiritual bypassing. Have we been just embracing the feel-good parts of spirituality? Because, you know, saying like, oh, I'm connecting with spirit and it feels so good. Like I've had to look up those, especially right after my initial like opening, revelation, whatever. It's like it was all feel good. Even the shadowy parts were feel good, because I was like, finally, I feel like I have an awareness, enough of awareness to start to think about them in a productive way, you know. But it was all feel good, and then the real shadow work started, and I have a feeling there's more to come. I've talked about it, like for my own personal journey. It's gonna get scary and deep, but good. You know, it's all gonna be good at the end of the day. But we're gonna have to go we're gonna have to go through some stuff. So I feel like asking us to address spiritual bypassing is a Monday energy. It's like start of the week. It's just the little opening why don't you contemplate it a little bit before we get deep into the shadow work? And so anyway, it's like avoidance of negative emotions, premature forgiveness, like, no, you're good. These days you say, no, you're good. And it's like, but how do you really feel? It's like you'll get to the real forgiveness, but you got to go through like, how do I really feel about this situation? Why do I feel hurt by what they said or did? Because like those are triggers, right? We got to look at our triggers on Tuesday. So premature forgiveness is like a little like, oh, yeah, I do that. Overemphasis on spiritual practices. Like I was saying in my other, I forget like when, but people, like there was a podcast I was listening to and somebody's like, why isn't the awakening happening for me, the spiritual opening? I meditate like crazy every day. Well, that might be a problem. Like overemphasis on the practice part of it. Like that goes back to dogma and doctrine and like not flowing whatsoever. Anyway, detachment from reality, spiritual superiority, like I was talking about. Oh my God, it's all related. Like people who are like, I had an awakening and this is the only way. This is the right way. This is how it is for everybody. These are the steps. Yeah, it's not. It's different, literally different for everybody. And minimizing suffering. Invalidating someone's pain with phrases like, it's all an illusion. Everything happens for a reason. Well, everything does happen for a reason, but there's always like two aspects to like an idiom or a phrase, like a cliche. It's like we say it because it's like it helps like people. It's like we don't feel comfortable with people's pain, so we try to minimize it so that it's all about us. Like I don't want to feel uncomfortable because they're like in it. When you really, like initially you might think, oh, everything happens for a reason, like you're doing them a favor. It's like, no, they're on their own journey. Let them do their shadow work. You can still support them, hold space for them, but don't minimize it. I've done a lot of that in my life. So that's a real call to like, that's a form of spiritual bypassing. And then like why it's harmful, it suppresses emotional healing. That's what we just said. Like it's like you're squashing somebody's chance at healing, by saying everything happens for a reason, because then they don't feel seen, they don't feel heard. They're like, I guess there's no place for healing in my world. Yeah, that's doing them a disservice, like creating disconnection, and it limits their growth. That's why it's harmful. And our own, I mean, that's just if you're like saying those things to somebody else. But if we're like not really looking at things honestly, we're doing that to ourselves too. So how to avoid it? Here's some nuggets from little ChatGPT. Balance spirituality with inner work. That's what we're talking about. Do inquiry, go inward instead of outward escapism. Instead of going and watching spiritual documentaries. Oh my God, I watch a lot of YouTube. I gotta balance that, honestly. I do it for inspiration, but then like I'm definitely in the depths of like shadow work, and I still have to check myself though, like, am I in balance here? Am I doing like paying attention to those calls to go into shadow work, like look under the depths? Or am I just trying to like gobble up all the good feelings? I go through phases, but now I'm going like, I feel like it's easier to recognize when I get out of balance, and it's been a journey. So I just gotta check myself, and then because those feel good feelings feel good. Acknowledge all emotions. Oh my God, that's a big one. And you know what? Even what you might think are the scary ones end up not being all scary when you look at them, when you shine a light on them, when you feel them and say, where's that landing in my body? I shouldn't say only, but they tend to intensify. Like what you resist persists, and grows and latches on. So it's like, if you again, back to the somatic experiencing practice, it's been a game changer for me. I mean, it's not everybody's cup of tea, but everybody's path's different, and on my path it really is working, because I've neglected the body feelings for so long and been all up here. So it's like, sink in, where does that emotion land in my body when I really look at it and I'm like, and I name it. Oh, I feel it. Like when I think about this situation, or how I was triggered or something, or this hard scenario, this hard story I've had my whole life that I've been avoiding, whatever that is for you, where does it land in the body? When you look at it and you're like, oh, I feel it right here, like my heart, like my shoulders went around and my heart feels like constricted, whatever that feeling is. It's like, oh my God, thank you for finally looking at me. Now I have like permission to change. It won't have the same grip on you that it had before. Eventually, on your own timeline. But that's the concept of it. Acknowledge all emotions. Engage in shadow work. We talked about that. Seek professional help if needed. I should just put that disclaimer on all these videos, because we tend to go deep into the hard stuff. And it's like, I hope everyone knows that this is not a substitute. These are just like, I feel like all of these videos just go, like, have an underlying, thank you, Spirit, I'm not doing it. It's just like an underlying message that comes through of like, we can do hard things. Seek help if you need it. And it's like tips and tools maybe for like, sorry, there's a cat hair, a long one, for like working your way through the hard stuff as a community of support. That's all these are. It brings in some like energies that need to be looked at, and here's how, and just, it's not as scary as we make it out to be. You know, the anticipation of the thing is always worse than the actual thing. That's the thing that's been coming to mind today and yesterday. Maybe this is why. It's like the anticipation of the thing is definitely always worse than the actual thing. Unless, like, I don't know of a scenario other than like something of surprise, which you couldn't anticipate anyway, you know. So it's like, if it's of the mind in an anticipatory nature, it means like I'm worried about this thing that might happen. That's always worse than the thing. We always try to go to that worst place scenario thing. And maybe that's why spiritual bypassing is coming up, because like when that's like, it's that anticipation, it's like, it's always worse. And so therefore we're like, okay, I'll distract myself into the feel-goodness, the feel-good feelings. Yeah, I think it's just calling us to take a look at that. So thanks, ChatGPT. I don't know why I was called to do that. That's funny. I'm gonna just let's over here. So what are we at? I feel like we could go a couple minutes more. Nothing too crazy. Tell me when to stop. But I kind of want to end with like, you know, that's the message this week, is like that spiritual bypassing. What is an antidote to spiritual bypassing? You know, other than like feel the feelings, address the emotions, don't look away. Oh, here it is. I love this. Thank you. So these don't always call to me, but it's like these, what's it called? Awakening Intuition cards. So it's like, remember how I said recognizing spiritual bypassing is very tricky, very hard, very slippery to really put a finger on it, like, because of its nature. It's bypassing. It's like, you know, it's like, that's just the nature of it. It's slippery. It's like, I can't. It's so elusive that it's so elusive. Anyway, Yeah, that's the nature of it. So don't beat yourself up if you've been doing it. I think we all have probably stepped a toe into it at some point along our journey. Because I feel like if you're kind of watching tarot or intuitive reading, like videos, you're already attuned to this. You're already attuned to this type of stuff. So you've probably done it a little bit, and that's okay. And this is just a call to like recognize when it might be happening. Or like I said, for me personally, it's like a balance thing. I love the feel-good feelings. I actually really love the not feel-good feelings. So it's like I love the balance between the two. And sometimes there was a period like Q4 2024 where I was just all like, or maybe it was Q3 before yeah, it was Q3 when I was still not feeling like when I was in the part of my journey of like, before I had a way out of it. And that'll happen again and again and again. I know it now. That's why these videos are fun, and it makes me have so much friggin' vulnerability, which I haven't had in my life, because I know, like, even if my energy is one of like, it's all okay, it's like, well, sometimes it's friggin' not. And we go through weeks sometimes, and myself sometimes months of just like, when will it end? This is hard work. And for me, the hard work is not even knowing where to look, not even knowing a way out of it. I'm good if I know a way out of it, man. I was a project manager. We will project manage our way out of it. So, and I think it's hard to see. So that's sometimes when spiritual bypassing can like grab hold and be like, feel the feel-good feelings because it's hard right now. Anyway, that's just infusing a little of my own journey into this, but just for like something to like make it real for you if you're not sure what I'm even talking about, and you may not still be sure. Okay, so we're gonna wrap this up. Let's have a little bit of intuitive inspiration here for Monday motivation. Like, what intuition needs awakened to help us recognize and work with the spiritual bypassing energy that's coming through? Thank you, Spirit. These are so sticky. Avoid wishful thinking. Oh my God, this is like right on track. You know, that wishful thinking, I haven't read it yet, so it might just contradict everything I'm feeling, but that like the feel-good feelings, wishful thinking is that. It's like, what's the best case scenario? Which is kind of the opposite of that anticipatory energy we're talking about, where it's like it's always worse than the actual thing. But then on the flip side of that spectrum is like, what's the best case scenario? And I'm going to ignore all the icky, ooey, gooey, feelings. Anyway, it's possible to confuse your desire for genuine intuitive guidance, especially when you're wishing for a specific outcome. Get a second opinion on your sixth sense via synchronicity. Ask Spirit to show you a clear sign in the external world about which direction to follow now. Trickster energy is afoot. Didn't we say it was tricky? Trickster energy. Like, yes, this is what it's about. Avoid wishful thinking. Thank you. That was such a clear message. That's what we can contemplate on Monday for the motivation to put spiritual bypassing to rest, at least for now. It might reemerge, it always has that trickster energy about it where like we move through it and we're like, oh yeah, I think I really did some good work there. I really felt into the feelings and like wrestled with them, soul searched. Like, I really didn't just go for the good feelings all the time, and you should celebrate that. Just be aware that, like, this pathless path, the nature of it is a little bit trickstery. you know, and that's just the nature because, like, I don't know why I'm going to say this again, but I did a video this morning where I was talking about like leveling up through this journey, and it's like with the original Nintendo levels and like rescuing the princess, and then the next boss is even harder to beat. You know, the next princess is even harder to rescue. And so, but you learn along the way. You learn about what to jump over, what to avoid, you know, what's falling and what fireballs are coming, you know, out of the sky. Man, I really want to go back and play the original Nintendo. Oh, I was so good. I could beat it all eventually in just like no time. Yeah. But not these days with this journey. It surprises me at every turn. And just when I'm like, yes, this is the level, I'm going to stay here a while and bask in the ecstasy of it, and then the trickster energy is like, oh really? Go fight this boss with no more tools than you had before. I laugh because, like, what else are we gonna do here on this earth, you know? Like, we're meant to do this. What's calling to me to say now is a little disclaimer of like, but seek help where you need it. Recognize when things are a little too tough at the moment. It doesn't last forever. You know what? Just because you say, I need help right now, doesn't mean you need it forever. Take it when you need it. I don't know why my arms are up my sleeves. Sorry, this is weird. But look at my Grateful Dead shirt. I really love it because it's so soft. And you know what? No matter how many times I wash it, it never fades away. You Grateful Dead fans will get that reference. Never fade away. Oh, I love this so much. Hope you're motivated for your Monday. Watch out for that slippery stuff. It's tricky.